2023 is now called to order. Notice of the time, date, and location of this meeting was provided at least 48 hours prior to the commencement of this meeting pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 231 of the laws of 1975, the Open Public Meetings Act. I'd like to ask everyone to please stand for a salute to the flag, followed by a moment of silence as we remember Joan O'Dood, who was a long time and member of the Freehold Borough community who passed away this week. I'm going to give the chief a pass tonight, but I'm going to ask the Colts Neck High School Navy Junior ROTC if you'd lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mayor Kane.
Here.
Councilman Benedetto.
Here.
Councilwoman Jordan.
Here.
Councilman Wright.
Here.
Councilwoman Rogers. Here. Councilman Schnurr.
Here.
Councilwoman Shutzer. Here.
Okay, item 4 this evening, it's always a great time of the year. I love to see crowds like this at our meetings. And it's for a great cause. We have our Memorial Day Parade Awards. I'm going to ask Councilman Schnurr if he could just introduce this for us.
This was our 149th parade. I'd like to introduce our chairperson, Alice McCobb. Want me to do it in this order?
Yeah, that's the way they're laid out.
No, it's not completely. Skip the second from the bottom.
What do I know?
Skip the second from the bottom.
Yeah, that goes second to last.
So this is,
Good luck, George.
how about I just read off from here?
Sounds like a plan.
I think that's cool.
That should be the bottom.
There we go. All right, best float. And maybe we should explain how we do this.
Okay. Go ahead.
All right. We have a variety of categories, and we have judges that have nothing to do with the council members or the mayor up here, and they're the ones that actually decide who gets these awards for the parade. So best float, first place,
Second place.
second place. T&A Crank Yankers of Central New Jersey Vintage Car Club.
I don't see them.
Best float, first place, Triple L Farms Antique Tractors.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Turn around for a picture.
Smile. Thank you, ladies.
Community service. Second place, community service organization, food stock. Congratulations.
Two.
They're busy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. First place, community service organization goes to All Kids, One Field, and We Are the Future.
Look, maybe you can get in the front.
One.
Thank you. Thank you.
Rescue Unit, first place.
Second place.
Second place, Freehold Township Independent Fire Company.
And a box.
Sorry, I'm too old to crawl on the floor.
Fire Rescue Unit, first place, East Freehold Fire Company.
I don't want to take these trophies home, people. Second place, band. And I know they're not here, because they emailed to tell me they weren't coming. It is Christian Brothers Academy Pipes and Drums. Christian Brothers? He's not here. I'll go knock on his door. First place,
Freehold Township High School.
school for Craig Jarrett's. And a box. Cole Honorard, second place. Cole Snack, Junior, ROTC. And the box. You're welcome. First place, color honor guard goes to Freehold Township High School Marching Patriot Band. Second place, best overall youth unit, Girl Scouts of the Jersey Shore. Now that's called not having enough room on
She's gotta get bigger.
You're sharp.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. 2013, we decided we needed a lot of help with the parade. We needed at least 100 volunteers to work that day to carry a sign, either the numbers or the sponsor signs. So we started this award since 2013 to try to get whatever high school, middle school in the Freehold area can send us the most volunteers to work that day. It doesn't count the high schools that are in the band because I can't put them where I want them. So we have a trophy that's called the Alice McCobb Memorial Day Parade Volunteer Trophy. Yes, you may.
This is like the Stanley Cup. Hockey Stanley Cup, because you get to keep it for a year. Alright, you have your name on it.
And then I collect it in May and goes back to the new Wayne School.
She's been known to have to pry it from principal's hands.
But they don't want to give it to me. This year, with 32 volunteers, was Howell High School. And the winning students
Those 32 students.
will get a shirt.
You know the front is behind you.
I know. That says they helped win the school. So the only students that get this are the ones that came that morning and volunteered for us.
Thursday's graduation.
So, and they get to keep this at the high school for many years.
We are done.
Just real quick before Alice and George sit down, I just want to thank everyone for your participation in the parade. I mean, we have one of the best parades in the state, and you heard Councilman Schnurr reference that this was our 149th parade, which means next year it may be a big one. So I'm going to throw this to Alice a little bit for a couple teasers on what she possibly may have planned for the 150th Freehold Memorial Day Parade. Not to put you on the spot or anything, but I know you've been thinking about it for years. So.
Oh, we've definitely been working on it for at least more than this year's was. As I pointed to somebody today, everybody know what the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade looks like? Minus the big balloon, because we don't have the street height for them. I'm looking for something that large. Wow. Yeah, so any unit that's participated in the past, if you only have a small group that comes, I'm asking you to find the rest of your group that doesn't want it, that comes either on a float or marchers, because your 4 or 5 group that usually marches, I want to at least double it. This parade was a little over an hour. I'm looking that we have to go to the Borough Council next year and say, I need more street to
Set people up.
on, because the parade is so big. 2025, maybe about too long. But anybody that has any information of a group that, hey, we haven't seen, does that group still exist? If you can get me the information, I appreciate it, so we can send them a letter to participate. I'm hoping to I'm praying, because my ultimate wish would be to get the president and former presidents to come to our parade, since we are 150 years old. And when Amanda did a research a few years back, she found out that we are the 11th oldest in the country. Wow. So 150 years for this little town, which I granted is not little, but to be 150 years old and have one of the first Declaration Day parades in the country go down Main Street in Freehold with the revolution, with the Civil War people, to me it's a big deal. So I'm looking for all help, all hands. Anybody can think of, hey, what about this group? For instance, years ago, We used to have the Elks. Haven't had the Elks in a few years. I know, unfortunately, Sydney just passed away, and I'm picking you out because you're right out front. And maybe we can get the Elks back, you know? So send a small contingent just to have the appearance.
Step teams.
Step teams, if they
Floats.
floats, if we still have them out there, just so that anybody that's sitting on the sidelines can say, this is what Freehold puts on.
And on top of that, we've been fundraising for the last few years, so we've built up a nice little kitty to be able to.
And the donation letters will go out again in January. I'm going to start looking for corporate sponsors so that we can get, for instance, years ago we had the Mummers, and back then it was $2,300. So what they are now could be $5,000. But I want to be able to have the money to be able to spend it.
Well, the one other thing I'd like to mention, we talked about all the volunteers and the parade participants. The macabres are the glue that kind of holds us all together, and I'd like to give Alice and Amanda.
And George too. And George.
And on the committee, Amanda, thank you so much. Thank you very much for coming. You're welcome to stay for this exciting meeting if you'd like. If you have other things to do, I'll take we'll just break for a couple minutes.
Cutting you off.
Okay, thank you. We're going to continue on with our meeting. Item 5 this evening is approval of minutes council meetings May 1st, 2023 and May 15th, 2023.
A second, please.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilperson Benedetto?
Yes.
Jordan? Yes. Wright?
Yes.
Rogers? Yes. Schnur?
Yes.
Schutzer?
Yes.
Okay, the minutes of council meetings May 1st, 2023, May 15th, 2023 are approved. Item 6 is a proclamation of the mayor and council of the Borough of Freehold declaring June 19th, 2023 as Juneteenth in the Borough of Freehold. I would like to ask Councilwoman Rogers to read this into the record for us.
Borough of Freehold proclamation of the mayor and the council of the Borough of Freehold declaring June 19th, 2023 as Juneteenth in the Borough of Freehold. Whereas Juneteenth is celebrated on June 19th, the term Juneteenth is a portmanteau of June and 19th, and whereas Juneteenth, also known as Jubilee Day and Emancipation Day, commemorates the day in 1865 when news of the Emancipation Proclamation reached Galveston, Texas, one of the most remote parts of the Confederacy, and whereas Juneteenth is the oldest known celebration commemorating the ending of slavery in the United States and has been an African-American tradition since the late 19th century, and whereas the era of the modern Juneteenth movement began in 1994 when a group of Juneteenth leaders gathered in New Orleans at Christian Unity Baptist Church and rejoicing. And whereas the Freehold Borough community has a rich history in recognizing the end of slavery and the triumphs, culture, and achievements of African Americans locally and across the United States and throughout the world. Now therefore be it proclaimed that I, Mayor Kevin Kane, and the Freehold Borough Council do hereby declare June 19, 2023, Juneteenth in the Borough of Freehold and urge the community to commemorate the ending of slavery in the United States.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Item 7 is first reading introduction ordinance 2023/21, amending and fixing and determining salaries of certain officers, positions, and employees of the Borough of Freehold.
I'll offer that.
I'll second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilperson Benedetto?
Yes.
Jordan?
Yes.
Reich?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schnur?
Yes.
Schuster?
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 2023/21 is introduced. Item 8 this evening is our consent agenda. And just to note that matters listed on the items of consent agenda are required to conduct the day-to-day operations of the borough and will be enacted by one motion in the form listed below. There'll be no separate discussion of these items. If a discussion is desired of any items, that item will be considered separately. Would someone like to move consent agenda items CR1 through CR25?
Mayor Kane?
Yes.
Can we pull out CR2 and CR19? CR2 is the Eagle Scouts and CR19 is the liquor licenses. For us to consider that separate.
Absolutely. Any others need to be pulled? Okay, would someone like to move that we move CR1, CR3 through CR18, and then CR20 through CR25?
I will move that.
I will second, but I will be abstaining from C or not.
Okay, any discussion of those items? Roll call, please.
Councilperson Benedetto?
Yes.
Jordan?
Yes.
Reich?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schnur?
Yes.
Schuster?
Yes.
Okay, so consent agenda items CR1, CR3 through CR18, and CR20 through CR25 are adopted. Okay, CR2 is honoring Jacob Earl Billings and Joshua Ashton Billings on the occasion of their attainment of the rank of Eagle Scout. Someone like to move that?
I'll move that.
Second. Discussion?
Yes. These guys did, these two Eagle Scouts did a lot of work for the DFW, and I just wanted to point that out. The Eagle Scouts are gonna be doing more work at the DFW as well. But they put in, storage sheds as well as, fencing. And the one thing I've learned about fencing after doing it once is to get a contract. But these guys did a great job, and when I mean fencing, they put in over 250 foot of fencing, so there was a lot of fencing that they did. So I just wanted to make that point.
Okay. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilperson Benedetto?
Yes.
Jordan?
Yes.
Reich?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schnur?
Yes.
Schuster?
Yes.
Okay, consent agenda item CR2 is adopted. We have CR19 approving the renewal of 2023-2024 alcoholic beverage licenses.
Yeah, I'll move that. The only thing is I have to abstain on the Knights of Columbus as a member of that.
Second,
Second.
any discussion?
I will be abstaining. I'm a member of two of the organizations involved.
Okay, any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilperson Benedetto?
Abstain.
Jordan?
Yes.
Reich?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schnur?
Yes, with the exception of Knights of Columbus.
Schuster?
Yes.
Okay, consent agenda item CR19 is adopted. That's the end of our consent agenda. Item 9 this evening is approval of bills.
Second.
Discussion?
Yes. I will be abstaining on item number 47575 because it's a check to me as reimbursement for the, so,
Any further discussion?
Yes, I will.
something legal.
Oh, I
be abstaining from vendor 01820. My husband works for that company.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilperson De Benedetto?
Yes.
Jordan?
Yes.
Wright?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schnurr?
Yes.
Stetser?
Yes, with the one exception.
Okay, our bill list is approved. Item 10, we have a few items for discussion this evening. The first one being a redevelopment presentation, DAS Realty LLC, 10 East Main Street. Convert existing use from professional office to retail, change exterior layout for proposed retail use, modify the exterior of the building, and waiver from off-site parking. It's a continuation from our May 15th, 2023 meeting. What I'd like to do is ask our attorney, Mr. Good, if he would just introduce this for us.
Well, Mayor, Council, what we have here, like I said, a continuation of the last hearing. The issue that was brought up the most is parking. So my understanding is that the application says the space was going to be converted from professional office space to retail space. And the retail space, based upon the square footage, would, I think my notes are somewhere, require, I think, 35 parking spaces. They were grandfathered in with 17. Therefore, I think we're talking about 18 that were needed. Is that right, Sal?
Well, the basement was rented too, so it was a 14 space deficiency in total.
It was 14 spaces, which actually triggered the requirement under our redevelopment plan and ordinance that a specific amendment to the redevelopment plan was necessary. Mr. Alfieri is representing the applicant, asked, and this council allowed them to come back with a modified plan, which has been, I haven't seen that.
We haven't submitted, and we're prepared to make a formal submission, but we wanted to at least present it to you this evening and get your input and see how you receive it. We did stipulate at Salvatore Alfieri on behalf of the property owner and applicant, we did stipulate at the last meeting that we would use the common garbage, just to remind everyone, my client came over and said he would do that as a consideration for whatever ultimately is approved. But there was a suggestion that 14 spaces would not be favorably considered by this body. We heard that loud and clear, and there was also a suggestion that perhaps there's some middle ground. We've considered that, and Greg Clark's here, he'll in a moment describe what we're considering to present to you tonight. Hopefully you'll look favorably at it, is to make the rear market yard space office space so that there would not be an increase in parking demand, and make the Main Street frontage retail. By doing that, using the net square footage of these spaces, we would have a 5-space deficiency instead of a 14-space deficiency. And Greg is going to come up and show you how that works. And there's a basement space that would only be storage, would not be used for any office or any other space. So there's those 4 spaces that would have been assigned to the office in the basement would not be used. But the net would still be a 5-space deficiency going from 14 to 5. Okay, Greg? Okay. So he's going to do a very brief summary, and then if you need a more formal submission or anything else before you take action, obviously we'll do whatever you need. Greg Clark is our architect, for those who don't know him.
Hi, Greg Clark.
You do everything.
I was going to do it manually, like everyone can see.
Can you see it? Can you guys see it?
Probably I can. Okay, so
We'll turn it around during the.
I'm actually going to hold it up so I can refer to it so everybody can see. So anyway, Greg Clark, Fox & Clark LLC, architect for the applicant. Basically, as Mr. Alfieri summarized, we are converting the rear 3 spaces, rental spaces, which previously were earmarked as retail. We're going to convert those to office. So we'll start with the C's. This is the market yard side. This is the Main Street side. So essentially, we have 3 spaces with a net total of 2,608 square feet. That would be a 7-spot parking requirement. We are retaining the retail space on the front Main Street side with a net retail area of 3812, netting us a requirement of 19 spots. So in total, we would need 26 spots. So as Mr. Alfieri said, basically from, we're at a 5-space efficiency at this point, and, that's essentially it. The exterior elevations probably will not change. We'll probably keep the same facade treatments and the same, same level of construction as we do in the front. So essentially, that's it.
So we're down how many spaces?
We're down 5 now.
As
From
opposed to
14.
Down 9 from the last presentation.
Yeah.
Correct, yes.
Yeah, because the retail in the back of the market yard was jacking up the spaces.
Yeah, the parking is, in the ordinance for offices, 1 space for every 400 square feet, whereas retail is 1 space for every 200 square feet, so it's double the parking demand. That's how we, by converting retail to office, that's how we were able to reduce the net.
Is there any plus or minuses in the garbage use at changing from retail to office?
It really depends on the use of the retail. There may not be, but if it ends up being a restaurant, then yes, there will be an increase in the garbage use.
Councilor, to your knowledge, is there an agreement or a handshake or any written agreement with the restaurant next door for their tables?
Oh, I don't know the answer to that. My client's here if you want an answer to that. I'm not aware of it.
Can I ask him that?
Steve?
What I'm asking is, the restaurant next door uses some of your space out front, I believe. Do you have a handshake deal? Do you have a written deal?
Well, that's a whole little story in itself. Due to the pandemic, and they needed 6 feet apart, I went to my neighbors and offered them in front of my building for free. So they both had those 15 tables for free, although I was missing spots and rentables at the time. I offered it to them because they need the space. It was a bad time. But other than that, there's no agreement.
Okay, so it's all just for, I don't want to see a conflict between you being neighbors with next door and the
No,
retail you're gonna bring in.
Nothing but
You know what I mean?
that.
I don't want any hard feelings. Just looking out for the established restaurant.
So, Mr. Clerk mentioned restaurants. You know that's a
Yeah, we,
slightly different parking issue.
I know you mentioned it, we did not contemplate restaurants in our calculation, so it's gonna be purely retail. If he can't rent it and something changes, we'd have to come back with no restaurants.
I was used as an example. I mean, if we did, we'd have to go,
It's a higher
Back
parking
again.
count, we have a higher deficiency, so we're not asking for that relief.
I just had a quick one. When I was looking at these plans again, I noticed, maybe I missed it last time for some reason, there's a door in the almost like the alleyway there that you're gonna put in, access door for something. Will that interfere, because the restaurant next door has permission to have dining along that corridor right there?
No, the door actually sits behind where the dining area is, so, to my knowledge, I have a site survey here. Let's see. So the door sits roughly center. Okay, so we do have, I guess we have dining behind where the addition to the restaurant is. This is Main Street.
Yeah.
This would be the Metro, and the dining, I guess, is back in here.
Yeah.
So yes, the door would actually be adjacent to that, but we have enough space for circulation that it would not be a detriment. We need to get access back to the retail without having to go all the way in the front. So like whatever loading or unloading they would need to go through and not necessarily have to go through the office area. So that's why that door was proposed.
And there would be enough space.
Yes.
I think you'd also need a rear exit for.
Sure, yeah, we need egress.
Fire, right.
Correct, yeah. So in other words, if you look at the plan, we're looking at, this is the alleyway right here. So this is where the door is proposed. So we would need a rear access to access both the office areas and the retail areas. So it's pretty essential that we have that. But we have...
But that's not designed for the patrons, that's really,
No, that would just be for employees.
Yeah, but I just don't want to be sitting there having dinner and just doors slamming on it.
What's the square footage of those 3 retail and 3 office space in the back?
three office space total is 2,608. So space 3 is 884, space 4 is 846, and space 5 is 878.
And the retail in the front?
Retail, space 1, which was on the Metro side, is 1,463.5, and then space 2, which is near Federici's, is 2,348.5.
Is there any parking that can be made in agreement within 700 feet of the building? Is it just the market yard and on-street parking?
This time, it's market yard. I know the owner is looking into alternate locations for that. So, you know, if the board were to look or if the council were to look favorably upon this, then our next step would be a more in-depth, you know, kind of investigation on where the parking.
He testified last meeting that he couldn't find additional spaces. He was trying to find for 14 so he could do what he wanted, so.
5 is a little more
we need the
easier than ask.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
So, I guess, does anybody have any other questions?
So-
Again.
So this is not a formal application, this is just straw poll?
Yeah, I think the next step for us, I guess, is to send you this plan and explain the numbers in more detail. We did that initially, but we don't want to do it a second time if we were going nowhere. We figured we should at least get it.
Yeah, I would just like to check, I mean, we have our engineer with us, Mr. Maltese. Anything jump out at you as far as here? The last hearing, we asked to try to reduce the intensity, come back with a lesser use, which you've done by putting the office space in the back part and just keeping the retail up front. Anything that jump out at you, Anthony, as far as the idea?
There's no room on site for parking, and they've reduced the amount that they need. So there's really, and I haven't seen an updated plan yet, but that from the testimony, calculation that makes sense.
Mr. Chairman, this is unusual in that, you know, you're entertaining this applicant without the benefit of having what they propose being reviewed by our engineers. A couple of questions have come up during their testimony that would best be documented on the plan, including the restaurant space that's used on the side. My understanding is that that's the subject of an agreement between the restaurant and the borough, okay? Not neighbors doing favors for neighbors. And I believe the door that's proposed goes right into the area where the tables are, but that would be something that our engineers would document upon their review. Likewise, the agreement for the use of space should be documented.
Absolutely. I think that I understand Mr. Alfieri coming here and kind of getting to the temperature of the council. I think a formal application, unless this is, you know, completely out of bounds, a formal application with documentation as to what the design changes are is appropriate. So at the very minimum.
Yeah, and the reason we're here is if this body says we will never give relief for parking, as I've heard on some occasions, then we know we have a different battle to fight. Whereas if this is something that you think is a reasonable number, 5, which we think, you know, we pushed as far as we could to get to the 5, if that's a number that you at least preliminary think it's okay, we're going to give you the plans and everything else to document.
And they will be back.
And we'll be
Well,
back.
if you want my temperature, you know what it is.
I know.
Because I have been consistent and transparent from the beginning with every single application. And I won't vote for anything that has a parking deficiency because, I mean, you just can't keep stacking this stuff up to the detriment of the existing buildings, existing built businesses. So not trying to, I know that the applicant was not happy with me the last time, but he has to admit, I've been consistent about this and upfront. I just will not. And my history shows that.
I do have a question or two. The awnings, do they project over the property line?
So, the building currently, in the back, I'll go with the most complicated one first. The building actually sits over the property line by since time immemorial, I guess. This is the newest survey, which was it was actually taken at February 22nd, 22 was when the drawing was issued, so it's a relatively recent survey based on the information that we have, the most up to date. So to answer your question, the awning on the rear would absolutely be over the property line coming out, projection-wise. Probably 3 feet is what the proposal is for the awnings on that side. In the front,
Is that the front of the property?
that's the rear. This is the market yard side. I'm going from the worst case to the best case. So on the sides, we're sitting within our property line, so they would not be projecting over the property line on the alleyway side between the Metro and the applicant's building. And on the front, we are looking at about 4'4" to the property line in front of the building. So the awnings are not proposed to encroach on borough property in the front. So it's just the rear that would have the awnings encroaching.
So you said that, how far does the building set back on the side, from the property line?
From the side, let me see. It varies from 9'1" down to, I think it's
Oh, I see.
7.9. So a little nebulous. So as I said, the awnings are only projected to come out 3 feet.
So if I can continue, so you would need for that, is that correct?
Yes, or eliminate you on.
I would also recommend an encroachment easement of some kind for whatever they plan on adding to the back of the building. Because the building's slightly over onto the market yard property as it is.
I think that eliminating as much as possible encroachment would be.
You can't eliminate the existing.
I know you can't get rid of the building, but an awning is.
Yeah, the majority of the improvements are projected to be cosmetic on the building itself, so we don't propose any, walls or planters or anything or even a building addition coming out anywhere. It's just going to be the existing building footprint that we're going to be altering.
So the council again has, if you want him to come back, actually, if you want him to come back, or don't want him to come back, he's gonna have to come back with an application. But you could tell him that, even what you're proposing is not really that interesting for the council. Obviously, if what you're interested and the submission is not to your liking, what you say here now is not going to hold for next time if you don't like what you get.
I think it's interesting, I'm just, it's parking.
What's that shit out here, you like to see a full plan, or?
Yeah, I'm okay with the 5. Your folks are gonna have to park in the market garden, and they're gonna have to pay for parking. Kind of okay with the 5.
And Mayor, we're coming back, if everybody's okay with 5, we have to come back, so it's.
Correct. Yeah, I'm just saying if.
Yeah. Oh, you mean the question, should we bother?
Come back at all.
I have to say I'm kind of with Sharon on this one. We have received so many requests for parking relief that, why do we have an ordinance? Why do we have an ordinance in place if we're going to continue to get relief? So I would, I'm not saying no completely, but I definitely would need to see a full plan and be able to measure that against all the other things we have going on in town.
Formally, I don't think I'm legally allowed on my property, property 200 feet from this.
So, not a site plan application.
But I thank you for your willingness to adjust to the borough's voices and our ordinances, and I commend you on your effort. I like it right here.
I'd like to see you come back. I don't think that we can sacrifice businesses that will potentially flourish for parking spots. I know that the applicant has had an issue with leasing the space as an office, and the design for the exterior, the uplift for the exterior, really beautifies the property, and I think that would help sell retail spots. I appreciate the fact that you've gone down from 14 to 5 spaces, and I think it would move the client to see if you can make some sort of agreement to find additional parking, whatever it may be, because that's always, helps if you can have some sort of agreement to have those additional 5 spots taken care of. But yeah, I think just come back, I think that maybe like an inset door on the side property might prevent the door from being encroaching on that alleyway, so that, you know, it's not interrupting the patrons that are out there dining and whatnot. But it has the potential to be a very nice looking building, and I think that I'd rather see a nice building and sacrifice 5 parking spots than have a building that's empty and it's basically just unusable as it is. So, or without some sort of anything you do there, you're going to have to potentially need additional parking. So,
I'd like to see you come back. I appreciate the effort that you put in. I can't say that I'm going to say, oh, this is wonderful when you come back, but at least you put the effort in. We asked you to, and I'm kind of with Adam. I don't want to see empty buildings downtown. I want to see some retail flourish.
Chair?
I think I've said.
you're not going to get anything.
Yeah, so I think what you've heard, you know, it's worth an effort to come back. Again, too, I appreciate, you know, we asked you to reduce the intensity a little bit, which you've done. I think it's worth coming back, taking a look at the whole picture, and then we'll go from there.
We'll make a formal submission and you'll schedule us whenever. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, item B is redevelopment presentation, 32 South Street Realty LLC.
You might need to
32 South Street, change of use, second floor from church office to two-bedroom residential apartments. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark, hold on, just let our attorney.
Okay, so what we have here is the conversion of an upstairs space right above charcoal from empty to 2 apartments. There is a question I always had about the other side or other half of the building, but the main thing, and I pointed this out to Mr. Steinberg, is that
About 20 minutes ago.
about 20 minutes ago was that one of the provisions of the charcoal approval was that this space shall remain vacant. No change in use, shall remain vacant, or else their CO is in trouble and they're going back before the planning board to have to modify their plan. The other issue, and again, is that there was a lot of parking that was needed by charcoal that was at least eaten up, and I think that was the understanding, so that any savings that you might have from this, which has a reduction in the parking demand, was already taken away by charcoal. But I'm curious to see whether or not we want to continue with this, considering that charcoal.
Got a chance, we pulled up on the telephone, it's a little hard to read, the resolution from the planning board concerning the parking. And it said that the upstairs shall remain vacant, subject to another application back to the planning board.
Yes.
So there was absolutely no question that we cannot proceed to develop it with 2 apartments and apply for building permits. However, we would still seek tonight, if we can, the historic preservation approval. Now, what we'll do from that is, if it's granted, we're going to go back to the planning board and see how we can work out the parking. Whether or not we can get some off-site parking for the restaurant or something to fulfill the need, and ask the planning board to amend its approval so that we could, because we only need 3 parking spaces, to use the upstairs for 2 apartments.
And you said historic preservation. Did you mean historic preservation?
We need a governed by redevelopment entity approval. Approval, because we're not doing anything for the exterior, basically. But this would certainly be subject to us going back to the planning board and getting that condition lifted. And however we may do it is we have to figure out, because I only heard this 20 minutes ago. But there is some language in there that says that we have an opportunity to come back to the planning board to reapply.
Oh, absolutely. So I guess then there is a question about whether or not maybe before they go back, before here, maybe go back to the planning board to say whether or not there is an issue before we go through this whole issue to see whether or not any space was developed, because I guess you're going to say, what is the parking? And the parking demand is actually reduced, for whatever that's worth, just on a space-to-space level. Again, the question becomes, what was eaten up by charcoal? Because I believe that they were about 45 spaces deficient, so that vacancy was essentially a part
I think
of.
they came up with 23.
Whatever it is, I don't, so,
Realistic viable positions.
No, Torco came up with
I know,
off-site
I know.
parking.
One of the contingencies was that it would be vacant forever in order for the restaurant and brewery to happen.
it says that the wood shall remain vacant. It allowed them to go back to the planning board and see if they would modify the requirement.
So I understand the law with redevelopment and all that they have to come here first, but.
Well, they don't have to
It's
come
going to be
here.
a planning board decision, correct?
It is, but Mr. Mayor, I guess the other question is, do they have to come here first? I don't know. If they're seeking to redevelop, we don't know what the planning board will allow or won't allow. If the planning board says, fine, the only thing you can put up there is 2 apartments, which that'll be fine because the parking demand is 3 or 4, then whether or not this council allows it, under those terms, I think is appropriate.
But additional 3 or 4
Additional,
above
yes,
the
above what was,
deficiency already,
charcoal.
Which is pretty significant.
which is very significant.
So the question is, which one, the chicken or the egg?
Mr. Chairman, it's also important to point out that the charcoal application proceeded upon the mistaken belief that the 7 or more parking spaces that were directly behind the building were owned by charcoal, and they were not. Those figures, although they were included in the calculations that were done to arrive at the deficiency, are borough-owned spots. They always were, and they always will be.
My concern with this is why are we even here? I know it has to come here first and then go there, but that was a huge contingency to allow that to happen through planning board, that the top of that stay vacant.
That is.
Because of parking.
That is.
So,
This council, just from a standpoint, the council's not bound by the planning board. I mean, from a redevelopment entity, they're here because they're seeking to change the use. There is that fly in the ointment, that charcoal, and they've made promises with regard to the building that if you want to take it into account, I think you can. But if you say we're fine subject to the planning board, that is your prerogative in those terms. My comment is that I think coming before the council here to say what would be allowed or what they're seeking to do is premature, considering you need to know whether or not the planning board is just going to allow anything to be done. So council may, at the end of the day, take what the planning board says, what requirements they say, and either agree or disagree and allow or approve, move forward. But until we figure out what the planning board is going to allow, I think it's premature. But it's also up to the council.
You want my temperature?
I think your temperature is everything.
I can feel it from here.
That was a huge contingency for that to open, to be honest with you. And I can't see us approving anything other than what was written into that agreement, to allow that to open. So,
I agree, Dick. There was discussions about, we talk about the top floor being vacant. There was discussions in regards to, maybe the restaurant goes upstairs and the brewery downstairs, maybe there was seating upstairs in some way. We don't make the application. The business people.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so they decided that they're gonna use all downstairs, okay? So that was your applicant's decision.
The tenant.
Yes.
Mr. Steinberg represents the owner. obviously.
And the tenant went ahead and made all these agreements, but they're there and they exist.
yeah, I honestly can't see this body recommending, that you go back to the planning board and try to redo this when it was already, written into the agreement.
So it's written into the agreement that we have the right to go back.
They can go back to the planning board, let the planning board make its
Which is a
determination.
straight shot. I mean, I don't think we should weigh in on that at all. And that's your
Yeah, we have to go back to the
agreement,
planning
you
board
can go back
and convince them that, you should be allowed to develop the upstairs, and that condition be removed. That's not for you, that's for the planning board. Correct. And I assume I'm hearing that we should do that first and then come back here.
I think that would be
I think I heard it loud and clear.
Everybody good with that? I mean,
Yes. We have a second application. We have no parking, but we can.
okay, redevelop present 1016 Holdings Realty LLC, 1016 West Main Street, change use to second, third, and fourth floors from commercial use to 14 residential apartments. Matt, you wanna just,
Yeah, can you use-
So,
quick intro on this one?
yes, again, so what we have here is the building at, the address is 10.
These are three buildings.
Well, okay, the 10 to 16 West Main Street, looking to convert the second, third, and fourth floors, which are, I believe, commercial use, now to 14 apartments. And I think that the plans for the 14 apartments were provided to the council. The questions obviously facing this council are whether or not there's any increase in the parking demand based upon the borough's code. It actually, there is a reduction in the parking demand. The other question facing this council is whether or not, and actually it's the main question, whether or not this plan, this conversion is in accordance with the redevelopment plan and the purpose of it. I think that one of the items that is going to need to be discussed is the fact that the density of these 14 spots and 3 levels is somewhat high, but I'm going to allow Mr. Steinberg here to present the plan and allow the council to ask questions.
So, the first thing I think we should do is have our architect explain the plan to everybody.
Just state your name and address for the record, please.
David Feldman, F-E-L-D-M-A-N, Principal Architect of Feldman & Feldman Architects, Wall Township, New Jersey.
Thank you. All right, you've been given the task of converting this building from second, third, and fourth floors, from offices, basically.
Correct.
Into 14 residential units.
That is correct.
Can you just show the layout so that...
So on the ground floor, there's retail space, which there will not be any changes to, or modifications to. The second, third, and fourth floor is going to be converted into apartments. The second floor, which currently is 5,785 square feet, and is broken up into 3 distinct buildings, is going to be broken up into 4 2-bedroom units, ranging in square footage from 660 square feet to 829 square feet. 2 1-bedroom units, 2 1-bedroom units, 548 square feet, and 1 studio of 400 square feet. Basically, over the one building, we're going to create 3 units. Over the center building, we're going to create 2 units, and the third building, we're going to create an additional 2 units for a total of 7 on that floor. The third floor, which consists of approximately 5,360 square feet, is going to be broken up into 5 units. 4 of which will be 2-bedroom units, ranging in square footage from 768 square feet to 1,149 square feet. The additional 5th unit will be a 1-bedroom, which would be 606 square feet. That's going to, as well, be broken down into 2 units over one of the buildings, and then the remaining 1, 2, 3 units over the additional 2 buildings. The final floor, being the 3rd floor, is going to consist of 2 units, each of which are 2-bedroom units. The fourth floor is approximately 2,815 square feet, and it's going to be broken up into two-bedroom units in square footage of 899 and 1,133 square feet. There's proposed no changes to the exterior of the building, and we're working with all the existing registrations that are existing, and created the 14 units as depicted that was submitted to the board.
I may be wrong, but would either one of you professionally qualified to tell me what the increase to our sewer work will be?
I'm sorry?
With the influx of residential changing, all these residents living in this building, what will be the increase to the water and sewer system?
That I can't testify.
I would think it'd make a great impact on it.
I have a couple questions. So, you have ADA accessible apartments? Where's
We
the
do.
on the second and third floor, where's the elevator?
Well, we have a spot for the elevator. We spoke with the building official here in town, and we determined that an elevator would not be required because it's going to be dealt with as if it's three distinct buildings. If it is built as three buildings, that would not require ADA accessibility.
So if I'm in a wheelchair and I'm on the second floor just because I'm in a different building, I can't get up there? How am I gonna get to my apartment?
I'm just going by what code requires.
And just my last thing, and I have to say
So
this,
then
that,
this plan is wrong. You're not doing ADA
The
accessible.
unit itself will be ADA accessible. Well, not,
But it's not.
within the unit is ADA accessible.
that's nice,
So
but
you
you
function
function,
once you get in there, but you
I
can't.
think
get
you're
in.
saying ADA compliant, just not
Correct.
accessible.
Correct.
No, yeah.
well, if you're compliant, you wanna be able to access your compliance.
You gotta get there.
Just my last comment on this is that the density on this, 660 square feet for a two-bedroom apartment, I do not think, and this is the way I feel, that does not reflect our redevelopment plan and what we have envisioned for that. The density is way too high on this project. Thank you.
I would concur on that. We have jurisdiction on residential density. But my question is more about the third and the fourth floors. They've been empty for decades because of the telephone equipment and the cell towers on the roof due to the electromagnetic waves. I mean, matter of fact, there's signs posted on the third and fourth floor of that, or there was at least, signs posted. I mean, how are you gonna deal with all that?
We could look into that for you.
Well, look, you're not gonna get a yes answer out of me tonight, then, that's for sure. I mean, my understanding is that that's a health problem, it's a health risk, that's the reason why they're not, there's nobody up there now.
I mean, I have a cell tower within.
I think it's microwave tower. Isn't it microwave tower?
All I know is it's empty, those floors are empty for a reason now.
And I agree about the density. It is way too many apartments in that amount of space. And if you're gonna argue that you don't need an elevator because it's three separate buildings, then you shouldn't have that many apartments. And you shouldn't advertise it as being ADA adaptable because it's not, because they would not be able to access that apartment.
Well, in all fairness, there's other ADA issues besides wheelchair that requires adaptability. I mean, somebody, could be disabled and not necessarily confined to a wheelchair and still get access to it.
But legally, you can't sit there and say to somebody, well, you know what, physically you look okay, you can ask them what their disability is.
No, I understand that. I understand.
I have some questions about the plans. On the fourth floor, there's a whole bunch of symbols along on the walls.
Is it what, I'm sorry?
A whole bunch of symbols, outcroppings from the walls, like in the hallway, and in bedroom number 2 in the front apartment, and the bedroom number 1 in the back. What are those?
There's pipes that are running down through the building and protrude out from the wall.
And is that a column in the center of bedroom 2? Front, on the 4th floor, the front bedroom?
Yes.
Okay. So all those, the box outs and there's column locations that are dropped throughout the building that are remaining?
Yes.
Okay. There's a couple of apartments here that have toilet rooms that are not powder rooms or bathrooms. So on the 3rd floor, unit J has a toilet room. And on the second floor, unit E has a toilet room. So is that requirement because of the number of bedrooms that you have for the units? So if you look at unit J in the center building, right above bedroom number 2, there's a toilet, a water closet.
Correct.
So if someone uses that toilet, they have to cross to the sink in the kitchen to wash their hands? Okay. Aside from concerns about where the columns are and how it interrupts the room spacing, none, the majority of the common spaces have no windows. So if you close the doors to the bedrooms, you're now in a cavern. And forgive me, correct me if I'm wrong, but even a habitable space requires light and ventilation. And if you're gonna use another room for light and ventilation, it has to have a clear opening, is that correct?
Yeah, but you could also provide artificial light and ventilation.
You're right, you could, but this is someone's home.
Right, understood.
And I think that goes to the density item. I think that if the apartments were larger, they could potentially be redesigned so that common spaces and bedrooms could have windows. I just think it would make for a nicer environment. And I do also question the comment about ADA adaptability. I understand that when people hear ADA, they think wheelchairs, and it's not just wheelchairs. However, it is the primary function when we think of ADA accessibility would be for wheelchairs. So if there's not going to be an elevator in the building, I would not recommend calling the units ADA adaptable because I think that it's a misleading statement. The other question I had was your statement. The report says that you're not going before the historic preservation because there's no changes to the exterior of the building. However, in the egress plan, the 3rd and 2nd floor egress to the roof, to the rear roof, is there a fire escape from the roof down to the grade?
You're talking about?
So there's that exit on the 3rd floor, and then on the 2nd floor, on the left-hand side, there's another door that leads out to the roof. Is there a fire escape, an exterior fire escape?
On the 3rd floor down the road.
So from the 3rd floor to the ground.
Correct.
Can you get it from this? Can you get to it from the 2nd floor?
You could. The owner saying yes.
Okay. I think that if you're going to show it on the egress plan, you got to include it as part of the egress. Because as far as I can tell right now, it doesn't. It looks like once you go up the roof, you can't do anything. So.
And what about the apartments on the 4th floor?
Well, look, that's the other question too. And I can't remember the code offhand, but I think that if it's because the building is sprinklered.
Right, it's going to be fully sprinklered.
So you can egress through floors if it's sprinklered, and I think to a certain distance before you have to be able to exit outside.
Correct.
I just think that going along with Councilwoman Jordan, they're very small units. It's a lot of units, and I think that because of the way that they're laid out, there are some oddities like water closets that are in kitchens. But I do think that more space per unit could allow for a better design that would make these more desirable spaces, because you're actually providing a comfortable home, comfortable environment for someone who may want to rent this space.
I have a question. How many of these units are going to be affordable units?
Whatever the home board is required.
You have that'd be 15% if we have, depending upon the number. If there aren't this many.
I don't know, 14 hits the cap or not, and obviously if we redesign, it's gonna be less than 14, so I'm not sure if we're required to do that.
And affordable, don't they require to have a 3-bedroom unit?
Honestly, that one I don't know. It's whether or not, that might be the distinction between how many
Okay.
are required, and then it's like a subset to affordable. So you figure out how many affordable, and then I guess you figure out how the subset's going to be.
If you're not required, would you be willing to do it? I'll discuss that with the owner. You have it down here.
Just one more question, I'm sorry. On the proposed second floor plan, there's a set of stairs on the back. It goes up to the 3rd floor. It goes from the roof deck up to the 3rd floor on the second floor. Proposed second floor plan.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, one the other way. So that stair that's in the back left there, that just goes up to the 3rd floor and then out to the roof?
Yes.
Okay.
So if there are no more questions,
Yeah, let me just throw a couple things in. I mean, as everybody said, this is just crazy intense use for that space, but, I mean, there's no mention of, like Councilman Benedetto said, what's the strain on the utilities, water, sewer, where's the garbage, what kind of increase in garbage, where's that gonna go? There's just a lot, and, to create an intense use like this is exactly not what we're thinking about for redevelopment. But, yeah, if you can, I just had to get that in there real quick.
fine, Mr. Mayor. Question then presented is whether or not this plan, as demonstrated, is in accordance with the redevelopment plan, the downtown core redevelopment. So, if anybody has a motion that says it is, feel free to make it. I don't see anybody, so I think that we have.
We're not gonna answer it. We will have to redesign, I think, this interior layout, find out a little more about the ADA requirements and see how we can comply.
And the roof equipment too.
Roof equipment, and a number of other things. Great questions.
The impact on the infrastructure, and we didn't mention it, but parking too.
We're asking for a full parking waiver on this. Of course, we'll have less units, we'll need less parking spaces. The current permitted use is much more parking.
Actually, with regard to parking, it is a reduction in the parking demand.
Okay.
So we're reducing the parking, but even if we have less units, we'll still reduce the requirement less, it's 1.5 per unit. So at this point, it requires only 1. So if we have less units, then we'll do less parking.
A couple public comments. So we made mention on, there was no emergency exit plan, so we should try to do it. Also, the basement, no one's providing testimony about use of the basement currently or proposed.
Any other questions?
Yeah, from down.
That is the question. Is there any, use of the basement?
Not that we're planning.
From downtown realist perspective, some of the concerns we have is, right now in the plan, we suggest the garbage would be just put on the street. There needs to be some sort of internal place for the garbage to be stored, so it can then be taken to the common dumpster pads. There's no allocation for any place for bicycles to be parked.
Wait a minute. Go ahead. Bicycle.
And then, laundry facility. It didn't seem there was any laundry facilities for any of the tenants in that building, whether in the unit or in a common laundry facility.
All the units have washer and dryers here.
They do? Okay, I didn't see that. Okay.
Most of them, actually.
And then, are there also air conditioning units? I saw heating units, but I did not see air conditioning units.
You can't do window air conditioning units.
Right.
AC.
So you can't have window units. Thank you.
Got some hoops.
I think we need to come back with a new plan. Agreed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good idea. Thank you.
Okay, one more item for discussion. Mr. Gallo
as well as citizens here in the chamber, and those who may be watching at home. I wanted to begin a dialogue about whether or not the borough should continue to add fluoride to our drinking water. Years ago, back in the 60s, it was all the rage and everybody was adding fluoride as a means of preventing cavities in children. Since those times, there's been great advancements in dental technology and toothpaste technology, and you can get adequate fluoride to protect your teeth from cavities through regular brushing, through fluoride treatment applications that you might get at your dentist, and through proper oral care, you can avoid the types of dental injury that we all sustained back then when we ate too much candy. There has been an ongoing discussion throughout the state, throughout the country, frankly, about the addition of fluoride to drinking water. It's not a naturally occurring substance in our drinking water. We have to add it, which means we have to buy it. And people are consuming it whether they need it or not. There has been some evidence that fluoride in the water is harmful to immunocompromised individuals, to senior citizens. It affects their bones, it makes them brittle, and is not a benefit to them. It's kind of forcing something on the entire population that maybe the entire population doesn't need or want. People have very, very, very strongly held opinions about this. There are many people who are strongly in favor of it. There are many people who are very much opposed to it. So it's not something that we should rush through, but if there is an appetite on behalf of the governing body, we can begin exploring information that we can share with the community. Perhaps we could even put it on a plebiscite if you were inclined to put it on the ballot and let people vote on it. That way, we know for sure that we have the majority of people who are interested in continuing to receive it or not receive it at all. My understanding is that there are only, I believe the number is 4 communities in Monmouth County that fluoridate their water. And one of them is done under the auspices of a water company. And because we add fluoride as an additive to the water, on top of that, then we have to add lime to reduce the acidity of the water because the fluoride makes it more acidic. It's kind of a 2-step process. And those are chemicals that cost money that we have to add. And they are 2 of 4 chemicals that we do add. One is sodium hypochlorite, which is chlorine that kills germs in the water. And the other is phosphoric acid, which is a food-grade material. If you drink a can of Coca-Cola and you happen to be reading the label, it says phosphoric acid on it. And that is designed to coat the pipes of the water distribution system with a biofilm on the inside of the mains, on the inside of the pipes in your house, to prevent lead from leaching into the water supply so that you don't consume lead, which we now know is detrimental. The federal government, and through the federal government, the state of New Jersey, is mandating that we replace all lead components in the distribution system. Lines leading to people's houses, lead fixtures, any lead mains or solder joints that we would have. And we're doing an inventory right now to identify those lead service lines that need to be replaced. And then we're going to aggressively pursue grant funding to make those replacements. Once that work is done, we can eliminate the phosphoric acid. And we could get this down to 1 chemical, which is chlorine, the sodium hypochlorite. If you're so inclined, I will do some research and circulate some articles so you'll understand both sides of the discussion, and then collectively we can decide what our next steps would be.
Our chemical costs,
They've gone up significantly.
They've gone up significantly, so it's not just the 4 chemicals, it's how much those 4 chemicals cost now
Absolutely.
compared to what it used to cost.
Sure.
And I think we need to think about that.
It's worth a look, yeah, no doubt.
Steve, if we wanted to put this on the ballot, when would we need to be able to make that decision?
It's a good question. I'll have to confer with council and with our learned clerk to understand how something gets on the ballot for the people to vote on.
Talking about the ballot in November? What ballot are we talking about?
It would be in a general election.
Okay, is that required for us to?
It is not required. You can vote on it and to eliminate it tomorrow.
This is just something
And then brace yourself.
temperature.
Can we get a recommendation from the health department?
We can, we absolutely can.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
That is a great idea.
Sure. The health department,
Great, thanks for that.
You're welcome.
Thanks. Any other questions on that?
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks. Okay, item 11 this evening is public comments. If anyone from the public would care to make a comment to the governing body, please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Hello, I'm Edward Stoner. I'm Board of Health, and many of you know me. I just have a quick question. What happened to CR 24? Did I miss? Did I miss
comment section?
Did I miss something? Did you guys go over CR 24 personnel and appointments?
Yes,
You
Yeah,
did?
just part of our
we
consent
voted on
agenda.
Oh, you did?
yes, we did.
All under one vote.
Yeah, it's all under one consent agenda or all.
Congratulations.
Oh,
Yes.
okay, thank you. We have someone who was just appointed as a Class 1 police officer, and we're very excited about it. I just want to make sure that went through. Thank you.
So are we. We're very excited about it.
Thank you. That's it. Oh, and get rid of the fluoride.
Excuse me, what'd you say?
Get rid of the
Get rid of the fluoride.
Doctor?
But seriously, we're gonna keep this to public comments. If anybody from us would care to make a comment, please step forward, say your name and address for the record.
Hi, good afternoon. Good evening, actually. My name is Carla Bolivia. I reside at 14 John Street. Just recently, I started trapping cats. We have an issue there. That's a rental property. I actually had to ask permission from my landlord to trap it. I have been paying out of my pocket. At this point, I'm looking up to over $500 just to trap and neuter and fix cats. It is a problem right now. Every night we hear the cats fighting, and it's mating season. We're gonna start seeing the amount of litters that we saw last summer. So we would like that TNR program to actually, I don't know really if it's an effect, what's going on with it. I think I'm not the only one affected. There's a lot of other people that are paying out of their own pockets just to help these animals. I adopted 2 of them, so I have 2 in my house with my landlord's permission also, because we're not supposed to have pets, but I asked for permission for it. But I cannot house all of them. And I'm still trapping. Even cats that are just passing by, that property, I'm trying to get them. Because they actually spray, they are making a mess on the properties, basically. And we would like some answers on that. Just to see what's going on.
We'll listen to all the comments first, and then I'll comment at the end, tell you exactly where we're at.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Any other comments?
Thank you. Glasses. My name is Lorena Rourke, and I live on, at 55 Wayne Avenue. Regarding the cat issue. Mayor, I had left you a message on June 2nd. They told me you were on vacation until the 12th. I still have not heard back from you. I wanted to just go over a couple of things. I'm nervous when I stand, so I wrote everything down, so I'm going to read it, okay? In 2015 and 16, my son had trapped approximately 33 cats as per animal control, and they picked
sometime after my son passed away, my ex-husband trapped an injured cat. Animal control came and got the cat, but told us we were not allowed to trap any more cats. The problem with the cat population was getting out of control. I was finding dead kittens in my yard. The woman down the street was feeding the strays, and they just kept multiplying. I called animal control to let them know she was feeding, but they did absolutely nothing. Several times I had called. Finally, I found a woman who helped me trap, neuter, spay, vaccinate approximately 20 to 25 cats that were in my neighborhood, that were crossing my property. Several cats were pregnant at the time, which, thank God, we caught them because that would have just added to it. I am disabled and I live on a fixed income. I contributed what I could. Even my mother helped. She doesn't even live in the borough, to get these cats spayed and neutered. I had an incident with animal control on November 6, 2021. I had trapped a very sick cat. I first took it to the Red Bank Veterinary Animal Hospital because they used to have a Good Samaritan program where you could just drop off a sick animal. But I was told the program was discontinued. They told me to call animal control. But since it was a Sunday evening, I had to call the police department, and they would call animal control. Sharon from animal control called me about an hour later and immediately told me that I'm not allowed to trap. I informed her the cat was very sick. After a frustrating phone conversation with Sharon, she finally showed up about 3 hours later, and she even had her own dog in the truck with her. The first thing she said before she even got out of the truck was that I would be getting a bill if this cat had to be euthanized. I informed her that it wasn't my cat, and just, you know. Sharon finally took the cat but never returned my cage. I had to track it down, and then I had to go to the SPCA in Eatontown to pick it up, and it was damaged. So I have no handle on it anymore. So you can't really pick a cage up when you've got a feral cat in it. At some point, the woman who was feeding all the cats had moved, and the strays were getting into the trash cans and making messes. Since I'm on a fixed income, the woman who helped me trap and neuter them brings me cat food and I feed them. The colony was down to 12 on my street by the time I applied for my license when it got approved for the 2-year pilot program. I haven't had any other cats that need to be neutered because they're being kept down. The day before I went to apply, I received a violation notice stuck on my door. I have them here. Outlining the old ordinance. The next day I received another in my mailbox, and the day after that, another one by certified mail that was highlighted. When I went in to get the application, I was told that I could not even leave fresh water out because they told me that it brings mosquitoes. Well, as far as I know, fresh water daily doesn't bring mosquitoes. It's the stagnant water. I returned a call just today regarding my colony because of my application, and they wanted the names of the cats with the picture of the cats that I submitted. They are strays. The vet was the one who named the cats when they gave me the rabies and the neuter. You know, they put a little name on it, okay? I had nothing to do with it because several of my cats, I've got 4 gray and white that look exactly alike. I've got 3 solid black ones. I've got 4 black and white ones and a brown and white one. I can't even tell whether they're male or female from the distance. We, all of us, are doing the right thing with the TNRV program. harder for us because it took me, I had to run, I had to go to Walgreens, get the photos out of my camera, then go and print them, you know, at Staples, put them together, you know, and it's just, what we're doing is a really good thing for the community so that these cats aren't reproducing. And I know it's just a 2-year pilot program, but it should be a permanent ordinance. I mean, that's a no-brainer. I mean, we need to eliminate these cats. I mean, animal control has made it perfectly clear that I and others are not to trap and have animal control come and pick up these cats. They will not do it. At one meeting we were here, someone from animal control had said, well, we don't get any calls for stray cats. Well, that's because we've called and then we're told we can't trap them and then they won't pick them up. So we've given up on calling them because unless the cat is half dead in the street, they're not coming out to pick it up. I don't know what changed between 2015 and 2016. You know, back then it was great. My son would trap them, they'd come, they'd pick them up, no problem. Then all of a sudden it's like, no, you can't do this. And we need to keep this program longer than a 2-year period because all it's going to do is the ones that they'll start multiplying again, and then we're going to be right back to the way it was in the beginning, and this 2-year program would have been a waste, when actually it is a great program, because I haven't had, like I said, my street is proof of this. I mean, Councilwoman Margaret Rogers, it lives on my street, and the cats that are there, they basically hang out in my yard. They wait to be fed. I just got my license tonight for the 2-year pilot program from Lynn, and it's something we need to keep. We can't just, you know, try it. The other thing was they said about the notices. I mean, this was the day before I was coming in to pick up the application, because that's when I heard that, yes, you can now go in and get your application for the colony program. That's what, you know, it is. But it's just, we need this program to be a permanent thing, because if we're willing to, you know, I didn't want to be the one who, you know, was, quote, the cat lady of Wayne Avenue, but they are God's creatures. It stops, you know, them from reproducing. They're from diseases because they get their shots. Unfortunately, you don't usually get them back in to get secondary shots. But the outdoor cats, they don't last very long. Like I said at the beginning, I started out with almost 25 cats. But now that we've done this program, I have approximately 12. I have 12 left. So, and there are no new cats coming in, which is fantastic. I thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Oh, good. I'll be brief. Roger Kane, 111 South. I just wanted to talk about CR10 and thank the Mayor and Council for authorizing the purchase of that fishing pier. That's going to be a handicap fishing pier. The commission has talked for years. There's no way that handicapped children can have access to fishing. And so this is going to be ADA compliant. We're going to run programs for handicapped children so they get a chance to fish out there. So I just want to thank you and let you know what that's all about. It's going to be a great program, and it's going to help a lot of people. And that lake is even more popular now than it's ever been for fishing. And they're pulling some great fish out here, George. All right, thanks. I just want to say.
at 236 Park Avenue. Don't worry, it'll be short. I just wanted to make the council aware of some of the responses that are coming from animal control. Mr. Mayor, we had a private meeting with you about a week and a half ago. You requested for some of the residents to personally get in touch with you, to hear their experiences themselves. I'm aware of at least 5 people that have called from May 31st to June 5th. They stated they left messages with Lynn Cannon. Today, as far as today, somebody said only one person got in touch with you in regards to their experiences over the last recent months, within the 3 months. That's one thing. We have an issue with kittens. Obviously, this is kitten season. It started in beginning of April. As of last weekend, I took in 24 kittens from the borough. I had them placed into rescues. I was so bombarded by that there was a couple more situations in the borough with kittens I couldn't take any more on because rescues are full. Rescues can't take, I can't take. So there's animal control is contracted to pick up sick and injured. They are stating that it's up to the town if they take in kittens. It's the town's discretion. So I suggest if we could add something that if there is kittens, obviously they come in a bunch, 5 kittens, litter of 5, 6. The biggest litter I've ever received were 8 kittens in a little ball. They're all over the streets. Like I said, kitten season. We had an example where kittens they called animal control. They said that they had kittens. Officer A picked up the kittens, no problem. There was another 2 weeks went by. Now Officer B said, no, we're not picking up the kittens. So it has to be some kind of consistent, we have to establish a protocol. It can't just be ambiguous of, well, Officer A can pick up, but if Officer B is working, she's saying no. There's got to be some kind of protocol established or a procedure. It has to be even within everybody. All animal control officers will pick up the kittens. Because like I said, there was a situation Officer A picked up, then Officer B was working, they said no. So that's got to get somehow addressed, better communication with that. And then I'm just going to let you know about 3 situations, and then I would wrap it up. There was a situation on Institute Street. I don't remember the exact day. I know it was between May 17th, the Wednesday, to Friday, May 19th. There was a little boy institute off of South Street, Institute, Jerseyville, Union, Marcy. All those streets there's cats everywhere. I went there about 3 years ago. I neutered and spayed over 90 cats within those blocks. Obviously, it's been good for a couple of years. It takes 1 cat to come out. It takes 1 person to take an animal from somewhere else. 1 cat goes. It's getting maddening. There was a little boy who knows to call me. He's a minor. His whole family speaks Spanish. He knew to call me because I've helped him in the past. He had a kitten which looked like a broken paw. The kitten was holding her paw up, couldn't walk on it. The little boy, he's familiar with cats. He just picked it up, called me. We called animal control. I called animal control. I picked up the animal first, put it in a cage, and then I called animal control. I called the town. The town dispatched animal control to come pick up, which was no problem. But I had got received a phone call from the town reprimanding me that I I shouldn't have placed the phone call, that it should have been the resident. There's a lot of residents over there, they do not want to call the town because they're scared that they're gonna get in trouble with feeding. And also, they don't speak Spanish. So I suggest if we could maybe get somebody on the phone in Borough that could speak Spanish, or we could put a flyer out or something in regards to that. But really the point of that, it doesn't matter who calls at the end of the day, somebody is calling, it's the animal's welfare in which we were trying to pay attention to. So whether I called, the person called, somebody just made a phone call. And actually, animal control officers were busy at the time. They couldn't take that situation. They were at another situation with a dog bite that that was more important than this. So we contained the animal. We were told to bring it to the vet hospital in which they're contracted with. And actually, Bob, it was close to closing time for the animal hospital. So Bob actually brought it home to his house, and overnight he brought it back to. The next morning he brought it to the animal hospital, so the animal could get treated for whatever injuries it had. But that was just a resident being a good citizen doing that. There was 107 Throckmorton. This was on June 6th. A phone call was made. A resident there made a phone call to animal control. There was a kitten there. There's kittens there. They have a big problem over there with a bunch of stray animals. There was a litter of kittens. There was one kitten there that had 2 quarter size, if you think of a quarter, put 2 of them together, wounds on the back of his butt area. It's a baby. It weighed 1.8 ounces. He was, because of the wound, the infection, he had, it's gonna sound disgusting, but he had maggots in his wound. We were literally picking the maggots out. This was nobody's pet, obviously, because if this was somebody's pet, the infection would have been addressed a lot quicker. There was not only one, there was 4 kittens there, and there's about 8 adults there right now. The resident got in touch with me. I told him what to do as protocol, call the town, they'll dispatch animal control. Exactly what he did. Animal control came out. The officer that was on duty that day was amazing. Definitely a different experience than what we normally get, or the residents of Freehold Borough normally gets. He put the kitten in a soft carrier. She came, picked up the animal. She was awesome. It was great. The communication, the way it was handled. We never had what I've seen, a positive experience like that. They were quick. She came within half an hour. And that's how it should be. That's how animal control should be. And the next day, on June 7th, this gentleman, which I did ask him to come here so he could say his side of the story, but he is intimidated. He doesn't want to speak. He's scared because the next day that he did this, between 8:40 and 9 o'clock, he said on his cell phone there was the phone number. He stated a phone number from Freehold Borough, called him and and told him that this was his pet. This was his pet. He should have taken it to the hospital himself. They accused him of having a colony back there. They accused him of feeding, and he says, I don't know what a colony even is. He's not a cat person. He just got my number from somebody else in town and called me and said, what do I do? And I couldn't take the animal because I didn't have, at the time, I had so many, and I didn't have the antibiotics and the treatment to do so. Between 8:40 and 9 o'clock, now, Borough opens at 8:30, so this had to be some kind of transpired communication the night before of what all this was going on. He had somebody who called him from the borough phone number and said that, accused him of a colony, of feeding, and that this was his animal, and that he should have taken it to the vet hospital himself. And he called me then, and I was trying to handle it. And then I spoke to somebody else, and they suggested have him call back and get the person's name. And he didn't want to do that. He didn't want to do that. He didn't want to get in trouble. He didn't want to get. He was scared. A grown man scared because he didn't want to get a violation, because it's going around with these violations that's been happening. Lorraine spoke about her violation, and there was another person that was here. A lot of people had to leave because they didn't think, they didn't think it was going to take so long. But there's more than one person who did get a violation in their door as well, with the health department's business card, and the violation said it needed to be fixed within 10 days, gave them the date, and somebody had to sit there and actually for a good 3 minutes highlight everything. So violations are going out when we change the ordinance, and I'm not sure what the communication is, but animal control did not know that ordinance was changed. That was the first time of them hearing it, they stated, because I called 3 weeks ago in regards to one of the animals that was injured, and I spoke to Renee, who was the supervisor of the animal control, and Renee stated, because it's still going around, a specific officer is still going around telling people that if they pick up kittens, they're going to get euthanized, which that's not the case, and they shouldn't be telling people that. So she did even say herself that yes, that is happening, and she's not sure why one of her officers keeps saying it. So they're fully aware of something is going on, and I did tell her that we had multiple meetings with the residents coming out, speaking on their experiences, which the last meeting we had, it wasn't one, it wasn't two, it wasn't four, it wasn't six, it was more than one people that had, unfortunately, negative experiences. And I did try to convey this to Renee, and she said she stated nobody reached out from Freehold Borough in regards to any of this. This is the first time she was hearing this. So I would think if we had more than two people explaining to the council that there's an issue, something's wrong here, I would think two sides to every story. Let's investigate it. Let's figure out what's going on. But that was not done. So that's why I wanted the residents to speak to you directly and tell them, so it's not coming from me, you hear it from the residents, that there's an issue out there. And then, last thing, I'm not quite sure because I never had, it was yesterday, approximately around 5 o'clock, the closest to the raceway track, there was a big black vulture bird. It was dead on the sidewalk right by Broad and Park Avenue. It smelled horrific. I was driving past it, and of course, being an animal lover, you look at everything. And I called it in yesterday, the non-emergency phone number, and they said that they were going to take care of it. I spoke to operator 16. His name was David. They said that they were going to take care of it. This morning, on my way to work at 7:48 this morning, it was still there. And I said, kids walking to school, passing by. I reported this yesterday, and he said that he spoke to animal control. I don't know. I'm just telling you.
But that's not our road.
Broad and Park Avenue?
It's part of the, I'm sorry, I thought it was
on the park? Well, again, keep
Yeah.
going.
Keep going, my bad.
It was still there, and they stated that they don't come out after hours. So I don't know about any of that, but No, I didn't say animal control, yeah. So that's basically it, but I definitely, oh, and there was somebody, Jane's here, she said she's gonna write a letter, she's part of, People for Animals. She just wrote down the wildlife code does not apply to cats. They're under domestic species, under state law. We're unable to find 16.6 on the website for the new ordinance. February 2023, we passed the new ordinance which exempted feral cats to be licensed, provided that they were complying to the 16.6, which we can't find on the website. Water needs to be out 24 hours. All animals need access to water. So having somebody dropping off their application and making a comment that we shouldn't have water out there, my personal opinion, that seems a little ridiculous. And again, ACO is apparently unaware of the new ordinance, so there's a communication issue there. But that's it. That's all I have to say. And we just, if we can really, this kitten season's here. We need something, if we can, about if there's litters of kittens out there, which there's a lot more out there. If you go on Freehold Borough Talks, people are commenting. I have 5 kittens in my yard. What do I do? Another person said it. I know a couple more that are out there. If they have a litter of kittens, they should be able to call animal control and everybody on the same page, not just Officer A picks up on one day when they feel it's got to be everybody doing the same, on the same page. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public?
I'd like to close the public portion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilperson De Benedetto?
Yes.
Jordan?
Yes.
Wright?
Yes.
Rogers? Schnurr?
Yes.
Schuster?
Yes.
Okay, public portion is closed. I'll save my comments for after council comments. We'll start off with Council President Benedetto.
Thank you all for coming in.
Councilwoman Jordan.
I'm sorry. I'll just start because it's fresh. Andrew, you know that I've been having contact with you constantly. So a couple of things. So in the mayor's defense, he was away. So I'm sure that he will get back to calling everyone this week. And I told you he was away and he would get back to people when they came in. Couple things though. For the lady who talked about the photos of the cats, we need them. We need them for, okay.
But she wanted names of each particular, and I've got poor Gray and White. I have no idea.
You can just make them up. I mean, but I don't want to fight with you. I just want to say that's why we asked for them.
Yeah.
Okay? As for, well, to your program, let's get this one off the ground and see if it's working and then kind of move on. I got to tell you, and Andrea, and you and I have had this conversation a lot. We need to have, and everybody knows to go to you. And for us to be able to get this program off the ground, you're gonna, and I know you've been doing it a couple of days now, you have to say, I'm sorry, you gotta call the borough. You have to call the borough, because we're not gonna be able to make this program successful if everyone just continues to call you.
Great.
All right? All right, public, well, and I'm not attacking her, believe me, talk to Andrea, she and I,
Oh, yeah, no,
2
I
years
called
we were
and
working
left
on
a
this
message.
together, okay? No. The other thing is, when, we also talked about picking up the cat and getting it. And and like you said, there's always 2 sides to every story, okay? The reason why we like to, if we get a call that there's a cat in distress or an animal in distress, we want it to stay in that location, because God forbid it's a hoarder. God forbid that somebody's abusing that kitten and that's why it had a broken paw. So that's why we always want to ask you, leave that kitten there, we'll get animal control out to deal with the situation. So that's kind of like some of the stuff we're doing. You know, we actually too, though, I would like to find out exactly from the time that someone calls animal control, maybe you can get this from me, Steve, to the time that they go, what's the protocol? I want to know what the protocol is when someone calls animal control and says, this is what I've got, this is what I need, and what's the protocol? Because we keep hearing all these different stories, and if there's a breakdown in communication, let's fix it. So, and that's, I mean, I just took some notes, but you know that we're working with you. You know, we met with them, you and I, and the mayor met, as well as Stephen and Lynn. And we're working now on putting together an educational program. So we'll get that, and we told you as soon as we get that done, I know Lynn's been working on that, along with our health department, get that out. How, you know, what do you do with a feral cat? What do you do if you want to have a colony? You know, what do you do if you see wildlife in your yard? So we're working on that. And I was also going to talk about this in my public comments. Lynn and I have been talking about in September, we're going to have a pet health fair where we're going to have all of those answered questions as well. We're going to ask a bunch of people to come in, talk about, you know, cat colonies, talk about feral cats, talk about wildlife. So we have an education process as well.
And just show them how to use a trap too.
Sure, absolutely, absolutely. So, and we're going to ask you to help us out with that. It's not that we're sitting up here and we don't want to do anything. We are. We are definitely trying to get this done, and you're on the inside now. For a long time, you were banging down doors saying, "Hey, I want to get this done." Now we just need you to work with us, and need all of your colleagues in the audience to work with us as well. And we would greatly appreciate that. All right. Now, moving on to this. I do have a couple other announcements. Just real quick, recreation fireworks are July 2nd. They're going to be over at the track. Gates open at 5:30. We're having a bunch of music and things like that. Just to let you know, no pets, no coolers, and no backpacks. Okay, but please, everybody come on out. It's a wonderful evening. That's on Sunday, July the 2nd. We also have coming up, Recreation has a couple, that's brought to you by Recreation. Recreation have a couple other programs coming up. In partnership with the Mayor's Wellness on August 18th, we will have a bus trip to the Blue Claws Stadium. So you have to have a purchase to get on. You have to purchase a ticket, get on the bus. But people who would like to get a ride down to the game, it's going to be first come, first serve. There will also be Recreation will be out at O'Friel Day. They sponsored the rock climbing wall, so come on out. They're also going to have a nice games and stuff like that for everybody in participating. Getting back to participatory budgeting, Mr. King talked about the pier at the pond. That was called part of our participatory budgeting program, where people in the community suggested programs that we could fund. It has to be capital fund, a capital project, but that was one of them. And it's been, you know, a couple years. And when you put that project in, you go out and you campaign for it, you're passionate about it. If it's elected, if it gets elected, then the borough finances that project. So that is open right now. You can go to our website if you'd like to put in a project and just kind of hit that under the PB. And that deadline for that is July 31st. Actually, O'Friel Day is back at the pond, August 5th. Lots of music, lots of games, lots of community events. So come on out for that. That's 12 to 6. And Downtown Partnership, the movie starts tomorrow night. So come on out for that. And then we have Yager's Farm, which is a big throwback for me to the 80s. They're going to be there on Thursday night. And I believe, thank you, I appreciate everybody coming out. And, and there's one more thing I wanted to talk about, redevelopment. We have a redevelopment committee in which 3 members of our council sit on that, as well as community members. As you might know, there's a lot of talk about their redevelopment in the community. We put out applications for redevelopment within our downtown area that we designated as areas for improvement. We had 9 developers come in and say they wanted to work with Freehold Borough. So last week we had a meeting with the committee that the mayor put together with, and the committee consists of 1 council person, residents, business people, and we all looked over the 9 applications. Our charge now is to narrow it down to 3, with the 3 that we feel that will best fit our community, and then we're going to take a ride out. We're going to see what things they've done in other communities. We're going to bring that back, and the committee will narrow it down to one developer, and we're going to bring that to the public. And we're going to have a huge community listening session and see how they feel. And the people on the committee are gonna share the reasoning why they feel that this developer will be the best for our community. So more to come on that. Make sure you take a look on that. We'll be advertising on that. But thank you for your time, and that's all I've got.
Thank you. Councilman Rush.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming out tonight. We appreciate your comments on the TNBR program. Comments and input like that help us better gear the program, and so we thank you for coming out. We are hearing what you're saying, and we are going to look to see how we can better this program, make sure that it works properly and works the way it should be. It's been some time since we've been here, so we had a whole bunch of events going on, so I'll try to go through these as quickly as I can, but I wanted to say congratulations to Gene Holtz, the late Marvin Harris, and We Are the Future, who were honored at the McGackin Recognition Awards last month. It was a fantastic evening and some well-deserved recipients. We had the Memorial Day Parade, which you saw the awards for tonight. It's such a wonderful event that we have every year, and it was great to see everybody outlining the main streets, the main street, and definitely looking forward to a Macy's Day style parade next year. On the 2nd of June, we had a pride flag raising out here at the municipal complex. The flag is still up. And I'd like to thank both Mayor and Council and the Human Relations Advisory Commission for putting that together. We had such a great turnout, and next year we're going to make sure that we do it in notice it more in advance so that we can have a bigger celebration for Pride Month. This past Saturday, there was a whole bunch of festivals going on. There was a Flag Day ceremony at Elks Point. There was a Juneteenth festival at the Court Street School and downtown with the Monmouth County Diversity Alliance. It was a wonderful day, even with the downpour that we had for a brief moment. A lot of people came out, a lot of fun. A number of us attended the Monmouth County Diversity Alliance's Juneteenth Gala on Sunday evening, which was a fantastic event. A number of notable honorees were there as well. And it was so great to see everybody. It's a black event formal, so it's great. It was so great to see everybody dressed up. Councilwoman Jordan mentioned the 4th of July festivities. Please come out and join us. It's always a fun time to sit there underneath the fireworks. Some housekeeping stuff. Brush collection starts in July, so if you're looking to trim up some trees and whatnot, please make sure you take a look at the newsletters to determine what can go out and where. And last but certainly not least, the Human Relations Advisory Commission has put together a garden flag program. So these are the new flags that you can purchase through Promos to Go, which is a local business on Park Avenue. There are some flyers out there on the table, and there's a QR code that you can purchase them. They're $26.50, and they include a nice little stand that goes in the garden. And you may have seen them up around town and some pictures on Facebook, and we're hoping that more people will purchase them and put them out. This really kind of captures what we believe in here in Freel Borough, and I think for a number of you folks out in the audience who are part of the kindness and caring for animals can also believe in some of these as well. So hopefully you join us in showing your borough pride. That's all I have. Thank you so much. Happy 4th of July upcoming event, and look to see everybody in the downtown events and whatnot going on soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Rogers.
Thank you. I just also wanted to thank everyone for coming out tonight for the comments. We're hearing you, and there is work being done. They are really trying to get this thing going and work with the town to resolve this problem. And Andrea had called me as well, and I followed up with Annette because I know she's leading this effort as well as Steve. And I really don't have anything different to say than what they've already said to you and to Andrea regarding the program, is that they're doing everything they can to get this instituted. As far as making it permanent, we gotta figure out that it works temporarily before we can make it permanent. But that is the goal, is to get there. But we gotta go through the process to get to that point. So we're hearing you, and the people responsible are working as hard as they can to get the program to where it needs to be. As far as the Juneteenth weekend, it was amazing. There was Both events were well attended, both events were amazing. I personally want to thank our Department of Public Works and our Freehold Borough Police for all they did to help us, have successful events. Although I have to question Patrolman Noss, was he there to interact with the community or acquire merch? I don't know. Because every time I saw him, he was at the merch table. But it was
Interacting with the community.
And eating barbecue.
But it was a pleasure to have him and Officer Crawford come by the school and introduce themselves to people. They really enjoyed that. I also want to give thank you to the Court Street Board for all the effort that they put into the event that was out there. If you haven't done so, please stop by Court Street School and see the mural that was unveiled that day. It is absolutely stunning. I was in tears when I saw it because it is so beautiful. So if you have not seen it, it is at the front of the school towards the Court Street side up the front. And it is just amazing. So I will also want to give a shout out to the artist John S. because I can't pronounce his last name. He did an amazing job. The gala that was sponsored by Miami County University Orange was just so much fun and a lot of work. But they really made it enjoyable. So if you have the opportunity to go next year, please just come join the fun. And then I was also here for the Pride Month flag raising, and Castle Freehold was so happy that this was done. They had already offered to hold a picnic next year after we did the flag raising. So, something exciting to look forward. So again, thank you everyone for coming out tonight. Thank you for your patience with this, my mind is going blank, with the trap and release program. And we'll get there. We'll get there. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Schneider. Yes, thank you, Mayor Kane. Most of my colleagues commented on a number of different things, so I'm going to go in a different direction. I wanted to pass along again my condolences to the family of Sidney Blacknall. We had a parade awards earlier this evening, and Sidney was on the parade committee for over 50 years, and that's almost unheard of for people to be on committees for that long. So again, my condolences to the Sidney Blacknall family. I also want to congratulate the class of 2023 for Freehold Intermediate School, which had their graduation on Thursday, and for Freehold High School, which is going to have their graduation this coming Thursday. The other thing I wanted to mention was the Freehold Knights of Columbus was named the Knights of Columbus Council of the Year for New Jersey. So that's kind of a big deal because there's a lot of Knights of Columbus in New Jersey for them to be picked to be the Council of the Year. So it's a big deal. The last thing I wanted to mention was that I know the council members commented on the TNVR program. It's a work in process. It is, but the program needs to prove itself. That's why we have it. It's a 2-year program. In other words, the goal has to be the reduction of the number of feral cats in Freehold Borough. So I was the one that said we have to have a sunset provision. This thing has to prove itself first, because even though there's a number of people in the audience that think
Ms. Shelter.
Yeah, 3 things, quickly. 1, Andrea, nice sign, congratulations. December, was that your sign in your yard?
Yep.
Marry me?
Oh, yeah.
That was a while ago,
Big old
right?
sign.
Wasn't it?
I don't know, my head's a bit.
I knew what she was talking about.
Yeah.
Secondly, I want to tell you that we went over this morning at 7 o'clock and picketed with the employees at Nescafe and assured them that we are 100% behind them and working to keep their jobs and keep that plant here. And thirdly, I agree with everything everybody said, and I'm tired and hungry, so let's go home. That's all.
Thank you.
That didn't get applause?
I jotted down some notes that I
Yeah.
want to go through. I purposely went last because some of the things, I think honestly, for those who have been to meetings before and those who have not, there's mixed messaging going on out there. I spoke to, as far as messages, people calling, Lynn, Tracy, Steve will give me the messages. I've personally spoken to a couple people in relation to this cat issue, and they told me things like the mayor doesn't care what they say, or Western Monmouth Animal Control can do whatever they want. And they even told me that we were going to rescind the ordinance tonight, that it was going to be taken off out of play. Absolutely not true. There is a history of problems on both sides of this issue, with the people who want to become colony caretakers and with Western Monmouth Animal Control. And we have to work through it. It's a trust issue. You've asked us, can we meet? We meet. You asked us, can we adopt an ordinance? We adopt an ordinance. It's on a 2-year trial period, but there's still trust issues that things are being told out in public that are absolutely not true. If you want this to work, you're going to have to work with us on this. I can't be calling residents and have them tell me, oh, I heard you said this, and it's absolutely not true. And I'm not going to go into detail because my wife's looking at me and she's, I know if I really say what I want to say, it probably wouldn't be a good thing. But we put out a request for proposals to vets to do the vaccination and neutering and everything. On 2 different occasions, 0 response from vets. So now we're at the point where Lynn, Steve, whoever else in Borough Hall have to personally reach out and try to see if there's vets that want to participate in this program. We put it out twice, 2 advertisements, 0 response. So we're working this thing. If you have to do it correctly, it takes time. But some of the things that I'm hearing that we're saying that are absolutely not true has to stop if this is going to work. From what I understand, my conversations with Lynn, there were 7 applications submitted for people to become colony caretakers. 5 total, 5 applications. 2 of them, as of last night, 2 of them came in fully completed and were issued the license to become a colony caretaker. The other 3, Lynn reached out to the individuals and said, I need this, 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 and this. And the reason why we need names and pictures, because we need to quantify. You need the metrics to go with this to see if this is working or not. If you say if you have 20 cats, we need to know who these 20 cats are. They're obviously going to be some of the same colors, but call them A, B, C, and D, whatever. The gray A, B, C, D. But we need to know. So as it's reported, we need to know whether it's working or not. Without the metrics, we're not going to know. So let me just finish. So Lynn, Lynn takes takes a bad rap on this, but it's working her butt off to make this thing work, you know, so, you know, the trust has to be there, we have to work on this collectively, and there can't be, you know, there's no problem with people coming to meetings, and everybody sits and listens, but nobody has the courtesy to wait till the meeting's finished, you know, half this side of the room left after, you know, when the council starts speaking. You know, that's common courtesy. If you want to hear what's going on, listen to what everybody has to say. You know, so I'm sorry.
Okay, what I was referring to is like there's 4 almost identical gray and white, so I don't have names, and I discussed it with Lynn, and she understood.
We did, and we worked it out.
Because the vet is the one who put a name on there, but I couldn't tell you what it was.
Yeah.
But
We just need something to
Yeah.
identify, to quantify.
And we did, because I had to match it up to the days that they were fixed and
Exactly,
vaccinated,
yes.
and we did,
Worked it
match
out.
it to the picture, and we worked it out, and
Yeah.
everything was fine.
Right.
Yeah.
And she just gave me my license tonight, but I did want to say just one short thing. Animal control were not responding to any
Yeah,
calls.
we've had Andrew Allen, how many times we've met? We've had multiple conversations about animal control. We're working on our end with that, but you know, on the other side of the coin, you can't have animal control get called, and then there's 10 people waiting to pounce when animal control gets there, which has happened in the past. So I'm
Yeah.
throwing it out there, and like Councilman Schnur said, for every letter we got in support of the TVNR, there was probably 20 on the other end that said, this cat's gotta go, you know, so we're trying to work, but it's a trust issue, and we gotta work together. So, I've said too much, thank everyone for coming out tonight. There being no further business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Roll call, please.
Councilperson Benedetto?
Yes.
Jordan?
Yes.
Rice?
Yes.
Saunders? Yes. Schnur?
Yes.
Sutton? Yes.
Thank you all, we are adjourned. Thank you.
It's hot. 8:52. It's hot.
Right.